Hi everyone, Ravi this side. Welcome to Engineering Enggadda. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about dependency injection. So we are going to discuss what is dependency injection and how it helps us in inversion of control in Spring Boot. So we are going to discuss about the dependency injection, and then we are going to discuss about the different kind of dependency injection methods we have in Spring Boot. So let's get started for that, and let me try to go to the next slide to discuss about dependency injection. Dependency injection is a design pattern used in software development to achieve inversion of control. So there is a video on my channel where I have discussed about inversion of control, what it is and how dependency injection helps there. So dependency injection is nothing but it is a design pattern used in the software development to achieve inversion of control between classes and their dependencies. Instead of a class creating its dependencies, they are provided to the class externally. This promotes loose coupling and makes the code more modular, testable and maintainable. So if you're not getting the point, let me try to tell you. Let's say we have two classes, class A, class B, and class A needs the object of class B in its class. So we are creating the object of class B inside the class A, and we are hard coding that things. We are trying to do a tight coupling when we are creating the class B object inside class A object. But this can be avoided with the help of dependency injection. So what we'll do, we'll try to create a object of class B and we'll assign that object to some external entity, and that external entity will manage the life cycle of that object that created and its requirement. Like wherever the object is required, that external entity will try to inject that object there. So that is what dependency injection is. So instead of a class creating its dependencies, they are provided to the class externally. This promotes loose coupling and makes the code more modular, testable and maintainable. Okay. In Spring Boot, data ingestion is managed through the Spring Framework IOC container. So this is what we are going to use here. So we are going to develop a Spring Boot application and then try to see what are the different kinds of dependency injection we have in Spring Boot. So there are three main different kind of dependency injection we have, like constructor injection, setter injection and field injection. Okay. So when coming to the constructor injection, dependency are provided through a class constructor. For the setter injection, dependency are provided through the setter methods, and for the field injection, dependency are injected directly into the fields. So again, let me try to tell you what is dependency injection is. Let's say a class A and class B are there, and class A needs the object of class B. Okay, so in the traditional approach, the class A itself will create the object of class B inside that class A, which will do the tight coupling. But with the help of dependency injection, we can avoid that tight coupling, and what we can do is we can have a external entity that will manage the object creation of the class B, and it will also manage to provide the object of class B wherever it is required in class A. Okay, so that is what dependency management and injection is. And now, let me try to go to the IntelliJ, and try to create a Spring Boot application, and then try to see different kind of different types of dependency injection we have in Spring Boot. So we are one by one will try to go through the different kind of dependency injection, like constructor injection, setter injection and the field injection. So through the practical implementation, we'll try to achieve all those things. So let's get started for that, and let me try to create one application. So let me try to come out of it and go to the IntelliJ, and here let's create one file, new project, and let's say this project name is dependency injection. Okay, select the Maven here and go next. Let me try to use the Lombok and Spring Web. New, and just wait for a few seconds. Then once the dependency that we added is done and all the necessary configuration is done, then we can start doing our development here in this application. So just wait for a few seconds to let it configure first, and then we can do. So okay, just wait. Yeah, we are good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a class, let's say called car service, and there is a class called engine. Okay, and we need engine object inside that car service class to get the car started. Okay, so let me try to show you. So if we'll go to this source main Java, here we have our main application. So before going to do the development, let me try to run this application and then see if our application is working properly or not. If it is working properly, we can do our development after that. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two classes. One is car service and another is engine. And inside the engine we have start method. Okay. And inside the car service we need engine in order to start the car. Okay. So that is what we are going to do here. So how we can manage those things, we are going to see that. So let me try to create, let's say, 3 different packages. One is, let's say, constructor, injection, or let's say constructor, something like that. And let me create one class called, let's say, car service. Okay, and the other class, let's say, engine. Okay, and inside engine we have one method which is start. So let's say public void start, and it is doing nothing. It is just simply printing it out like engine started, something like that. Okay, and we are good. So let me try to annotate this class with @component annotation. So why we are using @component here is when we are trying to annotate any class with this stereotype annotation like component or repository, service, controller, then in that case it will create the object of that particular class, and that object will be assigned to the Spring IOC container. And wherever that object is required, the Spring IOC container can inject that object there itself. And its life cycle is also being managed by the Spring IOC container. So if you'll go to this one, and you can see this bin dependency diagram or context dependency diagram for this object, or you can say, of this class object. So let me try to show you something here. So let's say you can see, as of now, we don't have any dependency on this object of this engine class. So we'll see later on when we are going to inject it in the car service class. So as of now, it is not there. So let me try to close it out and go to the car service. So now here what we are going to do is we also need to annotate this with @component annotation. And now what we are going to do is we are going to do a let's say constructor injection here. Okay, so how we can do that? So for that, let me try to create the constructor of this car service. So go to generate and generate the constructor here, and inside the constructor will pass the object of the engine class. So why we are going to pass it out? Because to start the car we need the engine, right? Okay, so that is why we need this object of engine class here. So let me try to do one thing. Let me try to create one instance of the engine class. So let's say private engine, and engine we have, and then we are going to use the what we are going to do, we are going to use the constructor injection here. So we created the constructor of this car service class. Now how we can inject it out? We are going to pass the engine object here, and then we are going to use the above variable, engine variable that we created, and then we are passing this engine object inside this variable. Okay, now how we can inject out this object of the engine that we are passing as an argument in the car service constructor, how we can inject it out. So there comes the picture of @AutoWire annotation. So this AutoWire annotation, what it will do. So before going to tell you about the AutoWire working, let me try to tell you. So here you can see we created the object of this engine class. It is assigned to the Spring IOC container. Now the Spring IOC container will try to see where this engine object is required. So there comes the picture of AutoWire. So when we are going to annotate anything with the AutoWire, like method or field, then at that level, it will search, like Spring IOC container will search that which object is required there to inject. So we already have object created for the engine class, and it is assigned to the Spring IOC container. Now when we are going to AutoWire this constructor with @AutoWire, then what is happening here is Spring IOC container will see which object is required here to inject, and it's already have the engine object with the Spring IOC container, so it will try to inject that object here. Okay, that is work of the @AutoWire annotation. So you can see we have created the engine object and passing in the constructor, and it is being injected by the AutoWire annotation, and now that object is being assigned to this variable that we created, or the instance that we created above at the line 8. So we have the object of engine, and now what we are going to do is we are going to create a method called start car, and then inside that we are going to start our engine. Okay, so in order to start the car, the engine needs to be started, right? So that is what we are going to do. So let's say public void, and let's say start car. Okay, and inside that let me try to use this engine object and then start method. So we are good. Now what we can do is we can create let's say what we can do. Okay, before going to do that things, let me try to show you something. So if you'll go there to this engine, and again if you'll go to this context dependency, you can see this time this engine object is now being utilized inside the car service. So its dependency graph is this, and this is what I wanted to show you. Now we have everything ready. Now what we can do is either we can create the object of car service inside the main method and try to call this start car method and then see how it is working, or the other option is you can develop a API here and try to create an instance of car service and then try to call the this start car method. So both option is fine. I'm going to create a main method here. So for that, let me try to create a test class, and there I will try to create one let's say PSVM and car service, let's say car service, and here what we need to do. Okay, so we need to pass the engine object here. Okay, so in order to that we need to create the engine object, and then we have to pass it out. So this also we can do engine, new engine, and pass the engine object here, and then with the help of car service object, what we are going to do is we are going to call the start car method and then run this. So when we are trying to call this start car method of the car service inside the main, what we have to do is we have to manually create the engine object, right? But this is not going to be the case when you are going to develop the API. So let me try to show you. So you can see everything is working fine. Engine is started and everything look good. So I'm not going to this is not the approach we should follow. Let me try to create a controller here, and then try to show you the whole scenario. So let's say controller. Let's say it is my controller, or you can say car controller, something like that. And annotate this with @rest controller. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the auto wire. And here inside the car controller, also you can use the same kind of dependency injection, which is constructor injection. And what you can do is you can do the same thing. So in order to call the car service, you need to have the car service variable here, or you can say instance here, and then you have to inject that instance inside the controller constructor. So you can do the same thing, or you can do a field field kind of dependency injection. But as of now, let me try to show you the constructor injection here itself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an instance of car service. So let's say private car service and car service here. And then same thing we are going to do. We are going to create the constructor of the car controller, and we are going to pass the car service. And then this dot car service is this, and then we are going to create, let's say, one get API, and let's say car, and then public void get car, something like this, and get car is started, something like that. Okay. And then what we are going to do is we are going to use this car service object or instance that we created to call the get car start method. And then what you can do is so before going to do this thing, let me try to make our application up and running, and then we can hit this API and then see this things here. So let me try to comment this piece out. So we commented out this piece again. Okay, so it is running the test. Okay, let me try to change this to our application and then run this, and then wait for a few seconds, and then after that what you can do is you can hit this API. So our application is up on the port number 8080, and now directly from IntelliJ itself you can hit this API. If you are not using IntelliJ and this is the Git API, what you can do is you can go to the browser and hit this up, or you can use the Postman to hit this API. So let me try to hit it out, and here you can see in the show request we are getting 200, and the body is not there, so don't worry on that. If you go to the console logs, here you can see we are getting this console, this statement printed, which is engine started. So again, let me try to show you the whole flow. So what we did here is we created a controller and created the instance of the car service, auto wire it, and injected it out through the constructor injection. And then we're creating one mapping here, or you can say API, and then using the car service object to call the car service, start car method. If you go to the start car method, we are what we are doing inside this car service is trying to do the constructor injection again of the engine service, and inside that start car method we are calling the start method of the engine. So this is how you can do the constructor injection. Now coming to the other type of injection we have is setter injection and the field injection. So I'm going to show you the same thing here itself. So what I'm going to do is, if you go to the car service, let me try to do one thing. Let's say it is constructor injection, something like that. And let me try to comment this out. And if we'll go to the car service, let me again try to do the same thing here. Comment this piece of code and let's say, okay, okay, so we are good now. If you'll go to the engine, you will find that in the engine we have one method start, and we are creating the object of the engine with the help of @component annotation. Now we discuss about the constructor injection. Here we are going to discuss about the setter injection. So how we can do the setter injection? Okay, so same way how we did the constructor injection, we can do the setter injection. What we need to do is we need to create the object of this one. So the same thing we have to do. Okay, so let me try to copy this and paste it here. And let's say we need to create one setter method here. So let's say public void set engine, and inside that we need to pass the engine object, and then this dot engine equal to engine, and then simply auto var this so that dependency injection can be done here. Okay, so we are good. And now one problem we are getting why. Okay, so here we comes to the controller. Now the same thing we have to do in the controller. We should have one instance here of the car service, and then auto var public void let's say set car service, and then car service object, and inside this dot car service, this dot car service and equal to car service. So we are good. So what we are doing here is, at the place of constructor injection, we are creating a setter method and try to set the instance of the car service that we created above inside that method. Okay, so let me try to remove this piece of code and then simply auto varying it out. Same thing we are doing. Okay, so why it is right. So how we are doing the things for the constructor, the same thing we are doing here for the setter method as well, and similar for the car service. Okay, if you run this application again and then try to hit the API, then you will see again the same console logs like engine is started. So this time we are not using the constructor injection, we are using the setter injection here. So go to the controller and again go to this API and try to hit it out. So you can see we are getting 200. If you'll go to the console logs, you will find that engine started. So the setter injection is also working fine. Now coming to the third kind of injection, which is field injection. So how we can do that? So let me try to comment this piece of code again, and let's say it is setter injection, and go to the car service, do the same piece of thing here, comment this out, and let's say it is setter injection, and now we are going to do the field injection. So let's say field injection, and how we can do that field injection. So here we can use directly auto var and then provide that field that we wanted to inject. So which field we want to inject here is engine, and we are good. Okay, and if you'll go to the car controller, the same thing we have to do here itself. Let's say field injection, and then here you have to auto var the field directly. So which field we want? We want the car service. Okay, so just car service, and let's say car service, and then auto var this out so that a dependency injection can be done. And again, let me try to run this application and then try to hit the API again to see. So go to this terminal, try to hit this out. Again, you can see we are getting 200. If you'll go to the console log, you will find that engine is started. So there are three different kind of dependency injection we have in Spring Boot. One is the constructor injection, where we are creating the constructor and try to inject the field that we want to use. Similarly, for the setter injection, we are creating a setter method and try to inject the field that we want to use. And the third one is field injection, where we are directly creating the field and injecting it out. So this is about the video, guys. This is about the dependency injection in Spring Boot. If you like the video, please hit the like button and please subscribe the channel for more such content. Thanks.